The cursor blinked on the password screen. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, ready to type in our anniversary date, the same password Rowan had used for everything since we got married 7 years ago. I just wanted to order pizza. That's all. My phone was dead, and I was too tired from my 12-hour shift at the hospital to cook. But when the screen unlocked, my entire world cracked open like an egg dropped on concrete. There it was, right on the desktop, a folder labeled Forever. Next to it, another one called New Beginning. My stomach twisted. Rowan never kept personal files on his laptop, he was meticulous about work-life separation. Something cold crawled up my spine as I clicked. The first image knocked the air from my lungs. Rowan in a tuxedo I'd never seen, standing next to a woman in a wedding dress. Not just any woman, Celeste Whitmore, the daughter of his parents' country club friends. The girl they'd been pushing at him since before we even met. My hands didn't shake. They went completely still, like my body knew I needed to be steady for what came next. Before we continue, please write in the comment which country you are watching this video. We love knowing where our global family is tuning in from, and if this is your first time on this channel, please subscribe, it helps support our channel. Enjoy listening. Let me back up. My name is Mira, and I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment above my grandmother's alterations shop. The smell of fabric and thread was my childhood perfume. When I met Rowan Blackwood at the hospital where I worked as a nurse, I thought I'd found my fairy tale. He was a surgeon, brilliant and kind, with eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He didn't care that I took the bus to work or that my family's idea of vacation was a picnic at the local park. But his parents? They cared. Oh, how they cared. From day one, his mother Vivian made it clear I wasn't good enough. Such a sweet girl, she'd say at family dinners, her voice dripping honey over poison. Though I suppose not everyone can appreciate the finer things. Where did you say you went to school again, dear? His father, Sterling, was worse in his silence. He'd look through me like I was furniture, addressing his son as if I wasn't sitting right there. The Whitmores asked about you again, Rowan. Celeste just finished her MBA at Wharton. Now that's ambition. For 7 years, I smiled through it. I brought homemade desserts to their gatherings, complimented Vivian's gaudy jewelry, laughed at Sterling's racist jokes about my Filipino heritage. I did it all for Rowan, who would squeeze my hand under the table and whisper, "They'll come around." Except they didn't. They got worse. I scrolled through the folder, each click revealing another piece of my husband's betrayal. Wedding venue contracts dated 3 months ago. Catering menus with selections for 200 guests. A draft email to his colleagues about taking extended leave for a special occasion. Then I found the messages. "Can't wait to be rid of her," Rowan had written to someone saved as C. "Mom's right. I should have listened from the beginning. Mira was a mistake. A mistake. 7 years, 2 miscarriages, and countless nights holding him through his work stress, all reduced to one word, mistake." I kept reading. Vivian had been orchestrating this for months, maybe years. Secret dinners with Celeste. Fabricated emergencies to keep Rowan away from home. She'd even hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on my family, hoping to find something scandalous. All he'd found was that my uncle once got a parking ticket. My phone buzzed, finally charged. A text from my best friend, Luna, "Still coming for wine night tomorrow?" I stared at the screen, then back at the laptop. Tomorrow. According to the flight itinerary I'd just found, Rowan was supposed to leave for Vegas tomorrow. With Celeste. For their wedding. That's when I started to plan. I closed the laptop and ordered pizza from my phone like nothing had happened. When Rowan came home 2 hours later, I greeted him with the same kiss I always did. "Long day?" I asked, taking his coat. "Exhausting. Mom called again about Sunday dinner. I told her we'd be there." "Of course." I smiled, the expression feeling like plastic on my face. "I'll make my coconut cake. She loves that." He paused, studying me. You okay? You look different. Just tired. Picked up an extra shift. I turned away before he could see the rage building behind my eyes. Pizza's in the kitchen if you're hungry. That night, I lay next to him, listening to his breathing, planning every detail. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I would destroy them all. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Rowan left for the hospital at 6, kissing my forehead like he hadn't been planning to abandon me in 24 hours. My first stop was Luna's apartment. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside. What happened? I showed her everything on my phone. I'd taken pictures of every document, every message. Luna's expression went from shock to fury to something darker. That bastard. That whole family of bastards. She grabbed her laptop. What do you need? Information. Real information. And I need to know who else knows about this wedding. Luna cracked her knuckles. She worked in IT and had skills I'd never asked about before. Within an hour, she'd accessed Celeste's social media, Vivian's email, and the country club's event calendar. Mira, she said slowly, this is bigger than just a secret wedding. Look. She showed me an email thread between Vivian and her lawyer. They were planning to claim I'd been having an affair, that I was mentally unstable. They had a whole case built on lies, ready to ensure I got nothing in the divorce. They'd been documenting things for 2 years, Luna continued. Taking photos of you with male colleagues, twisting innocent interactions. They even paid your coworker, that creep Garrett, to say you'd been flirting with him. The room spun. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a calculated assassination of my character. There's more, Luna said. The wedding? It's not just immediate family. They've invited everyone, all their society friends, Rowan's colleagues, even the hospital board members. They're planning to announce it as some grand love story, how Rowan finally found his true match after years of being trapped in an unfortunate marriage. I stood up, my decision crystallizing. Then we give them a wedding they'll never forget. I spent the day gathering evidence. Luna helped me install a recording app on my phone. I visited my cousin who worked at the courthouse and discovered something interesting. Vivian and Sterling had been hiding assets, avoiding taxes for years. Their perfect reputation was built on fraud. That evening, I attended wine night with Luna as planned, establishing my alibi. I posted photos on social media, smiling and laughing, creating a digital footprint that showed a happy, unsuspecting wife. Meanwhile, Luna's boyfriend, Kai, a videographer by trade, was setting up hidden cameras in the Blackwood family home. Vivian had given me a spare key years ago, for emergencies. This qualified. At 10 p.m., I texted Rowan, wine night running late. Don't wait up. Love you. He responded immediately, no problem. Early surgery tomorrow anyway. Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams. While he typed those words, Celeste was probably trying on her wedding dress. The next morning, I woke up to an empty bed and a note, had to leave early. See you Sunday at Mom's. Love, Rowan. Sunday. He really thought he'd be married to another woman by Sunday. I made coffee and called Vivian. Mira, dear, she answered, her voice already dripping disdain. Calling rather early, aren't you? I wanted to confirm Sunday dinner. Should I bring my coconut cake? A pause. Actually, we might need to cancel. Sterling and I have a commitment. Oh, that's a shame. Rowan will be disappointed. He specifically asked me to make it. Did he? Her voice sharpened. Well, I suppose, yes, bring the cake. We'll make it work. I hung up, smiling. She had no idea what was coming. Luna arrived at noon with a garment bag. Found the perfect outfit for tonight. Tonight? The wedding's at 8. At the Grandview Hotel. Very exclusive, very private. Or so they think. She unzipped the bag, revealing a stunning red dress. You're going to walk in there like you own the place. I can't just crash the wedding. They'll have security. Luna grinned. Already handled. Kai's been hired as the videographer. He added us to the vendor list. As far as security knows, you're the wedding planner's assistant. The hours crawled by. I went through the motions of normalcy, laundry, grocery shopping, even stopping by the hospital to drop off cookies for my unit. Everyone saw exactly what I wanted them to see, a devoted wife going about her day. At 6, I started getting ready. The red dress fit like it was made for me. I pinned my hair up, applied makeup with steady hands. In the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. Good. Tonight, I wasn't going to be the accommodating, overlooked wife. I was going to be their reckoning. Luna picked me up at 7:30. She'd dressed in black, like she was attending a funeral. In a way, she was. You sure about this? She asked as we pulled up to the hotel. They took 7 years of my life, I said. They plotted behind my back, tried to destroy my reputation, made me feel worthless. Yes, I'm sure. We walked through the service entrance, Kai meeting us with our vendor badges. The hotel was magnificent, crystal chandeliers, marble floors, the kind of place that whispered old money. Of course Vivian would choose it. The ceremonies in the Rose Ballroom, Kai whispered. Cocktails in the garden room after. I've got cameras everywhere. I could hear music floating through the walls. Wedding music. My husband's wedding music. One more thing, Luna said, handing me an envelope. Your insurance policy. Inside were copies of every document, the tax fraud, the private investigator reports, the messages plotting against me. But there was something new. Where did you get this? I stared at the paper. Celeste's ex-boyfriend. Turns out she's been married before. Still is, technically. Never finalized the divorce. Guess she forgot to mention that to your husband. The music swelled. The ceremony was starting. Ready? Luna squeezed my hand. I tucked the envelope into my purse. Let's go. We slipped into the ballroom just as the processional began. 200 guests filled the space, all in their finest clothes. I recognized many faces, Rowan's colleagues, his parents' society friends, people who'd smiled at me at hospital fundraisers while apparently knowing about this betrayal. I stood in the back, hidden behind a pillar. There was Sterling, beaming as he adjusted his bow tie. Vivian, resplendent in champagne silk, dabbing at fake tears. Rowan's sister, Iris, who'd always been cold to me, serving as a bridesmaid. Then the music changed, and everyone stood. Celeste appeared in the doorway, a vision in white lace and diamonds. The dress probably cost more than I made in a year. She glided down the aisle, her father at her side, smile radiant. And there was my husband. My Rowan. Standing at the altar in that tuxedo I'd seen in the photos, looking at another woman the way he used to look at me. The officiant began. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. I stepped out from behind the pillar. It took a moment for anyone to notice me. Then Iris saw me, her face draining of color. She elbowed her mother, who turned and gasped audibly. The ripple of awareness spread through the crowd like wildfire. Heads turned. Whispers started. The officiant faltered mid-sentence. Rowan still hadn't seen me. He was too focused on Celeste, on their joined hands, on the lie he was living. To witness the union of Rowan and Celeste. I object. My voice rang out clear and strong. The words seemed to echo off the crystal chandeliers. Rowan spun around, his face a masterpiece of shock. Mira? What are you? How did you? I walked down the aisle, my heels clicking against the marble. Every eye was on me, but I only looked at him. Hello, husband, I said, emphasizing the last word. Fancy meeting you here. Vivian recovered first, rushing toward me. You need to leave. Now. Security. Oh, I don't think so. I pulled out my phone. See, I've been recording everything. Including that interesting conversation you had with your lawyer about fabricating evidence against me. Her face went white. Mira, please, Rowan stepped forward. Let me explain. Explain what? How you've been planning this for months. How you called me a mistake. How your whole family conspired to destroy my reputation. I turned to address the crowd. Oh, didn't you all know? I'm the current Mrs. Blackwood. The one they'd been trying to erase. Gasps rippled through the guests. Phones appeared, recording everything. This is ridiculous, Sterling boomed. Remove this woman immediately. I wouldn't do that, Luna appeared beside me, holding up her phone. Not unless you want the IRS to receive some very interesting documents about your offshore accounts. Celeste finally spoke, her voice shrill. Rowan, what is she talking about? You said you were divorced. About that, I said, pulling out the envelope. Celeste, darling, did you happen to mention to my husband that you're still married to your first husband? The divorce was never finalized. This whole ceremony is invalid. The room erupted. Celeste's father lunged for the documents. Sterling was shouting about lawsuits. Vivian looked like she might faint. But I wasn't done. You know what the saddest part is? I said, my voice cutting through the chaos. I loved you all. I tried so hard to be part of this family. I ignored every insult, every slight, every reminder that I wasn't good enough. I gave up pieces of myself trying to fit into your world. I looked at Rowan, who stood frozen at the altar. I lost 2 babies carrying your children. I held you through your father's heart surgery, your sister's divorce, your mother's cancer scare. I was there for everything. And this is how you repay me? Mira, his voice broke. I'm not finished. I turned to Vivian. You hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on my family. You found nothing because we have nothing to hide. We're good people. Honest people. But you? I gestured to the crowd. Half the people in this room probably know about your tax evasion. Your husband's affairs. Oh yes, I know about those too. The apartment downtown? The woman young enough to be Iris's daughter? Sterling's face turned purple. You lying little. Camera 12, Kai called out from behind his equipment. Got every word in high definition. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. Rowan, you're going to give me everything I'm entitled to in our divorce. The house, half the assets, and a generous alimony. Vivian and Sterling, you're going to write me a glowing letter of recommendation for any future job I pursue. And you're all going to stay away from me. Forever. Or what? Vivian snarled. Or every news outlet in the city gets copies of everything. The tax fraud, the affairs, the conspiracy to commit bigamy, oh yes, that's a crime. Did you know that, Celeste? The bride burst into tears and ran from the room, her father chasing after her. I looked around the ballroom one last time. At the flowers that must have cost thousands. At the ice sculpture melting under the lights. At the guests recording every second of this disaster. Enjoy your party, I said. I hear the cake is excellent. Probably the only thing about this wedding that isn't a lie. I walked out with my head high, Luna at my side. Behind us, the ballroom descended into complete chaos. Through the doors, I could hear Sterling threatening to sue everyone, Vivian shrieking about reputation, and Rowan. Rowan calling my name. I didn't stop. In the parking lot, Luna hugged me tight. You were magnificent. I don't feel magnificent. I feel empty. That's normal. You just burned your entire life down. No, I corrected her. They burned it down. I just lit the match they handed me. Kai joined us, camera bag slung over his shoulder. I got everything. Multiple angles. Audio's crystal clear. Good. Upload it all to the cloud. Make copies. I pulled off my wedding ring, staring at the simple band Rowan had placed on my finger 7 years ago. Luna, can you handle sending the tax documents to the IRS on Monday? Already scheduled the email. I dropped the ring in my purse. Tomorrow I'd pawn it, use the money to start over. Tonight, I just needed to get through the next few hours. My phone exploded with calls and texts. Rowan. Vivian. Numbers I didn't recognize. I turned it off. Where to now? Luna asked. Home. I need to pack. The house felt different when I walked in. Like it belonged to strangers. I moved methodically, filling suitcases with clothes, photo albums, the few pieces of jewelry my grandmother had left me. I left behind the expensive gifts from Rowan's family, the designer bags I'd never wanted, the jewelry that felt like shackles. In our bedroom, I found the photo from our wedding day. We looked so young, so happy. I'd worn my mother's dress, altered by my grandmother's careful hands. Rowan had cried when he saw me walking down the aisle. When had it all gone wrong? When his parents first expressed disapproval? When I lost our first baby? When he started working longer hours, taking calls in private, treating me like a roommate instead of a wife? I placed the photo face down on his pillow, along with a note, I hope she was worth it. By midnight, my car was packed. Luna had insisted I stay with her until I figured out next steps. As I locked the door for the last time, headlights swept across the driveway. Rowan's Mercedes. He stumbled out, still in his tuxedo, tie askew. Mira, wait. Please. There's nothing to say. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Mom got in my head, and Celeste was there, Anne. Stop. I held up my hand. You made choices. Every day for months, you chose to lie to me. To plan a life with another woman while sleeping next to me. Your mother didn't force you to do that. I'll fix this. I'll make it right. With what wife, Rowan? The one you were trying to illegally marry? Or the one you called a mistake? He flinched. I didn't mean that. Yes, you did. And maybe you were right. Maybe marrying you was a mistake. But it was my mistake to make, and now it's my mistake to fix. Where will you go? Away from you. I got in my car, not looking back as he called after me. In the rearview mirror, I watched him sink to his knees in the driveway. Part of me felt satisfaction. Most of me just felt tired. The next few days blurred together. True to their nature, the Blackwoods tried to salvage their reputation. Vivian gave an interview to a society blogger, claiming I'd had a mental breakdown, that the wedding was just a vow renewal ceremony I'd misunderstood. Then Kai released the footage. Every major news outlet picked it up. Society wedding explodes as first wife crashes ceremony. The videos went viral. Someone made a remix of Vivian's gasp that became a TikTok sound. The IRS confirmed they were investigating the Blackwoods' finances. Celeste's actual husband came forward, demanding she finalize their divorce and pay him back alimony. I watched it all from Luna's couch, feeling detached. This had been my life, these people my family. Now they were just characters in a scandal that would be forgotten in a week. My phone rang constantly. Reporters wanting interviews. Rowan begging for forgiveness. His colleagues expressing shock and support. I ignored them all. Then one call made me answer. Mira? This is Dr. Patricia Lowe from St. Mary's Hospital in Seattle. I received your resume and a rather interesting recommendation letter from Vivian Blackwood. I have to say, I've never read anything quite like it. She seems to think you walk on water. I almost laughed. Vivian had actually followed through. I'd love to discuss our head nursing position. When could you fly out for an interview? Seattle. 3,000 miles from here. It sounded perfect. How's next week? I got the job. Of course I did. After 7 years of managing the chaos of being a Blackwood, running a nursing department would be easy. The divorce was finalized in record time. Rowan gave me everything I asked for without argument. His lawyer mentioned something about wanting to minimize further damage. I took my maiden name back, Mira Santos. It felt like coming home. The house sold quickly. I donated most of the furniture to charity, keeping only what had been mine before the marriage. The proceeds, combined with the settlement, meant I could start fresh without financial worry. Luna helped me pack for the cross-country move. You know I'm proud of you, right? For destroying my marriage in front of 200 people? For refusing to be destroyed yourself. She hugged me tight. They tried to erase you, and instead you erased them. She was right. The Blackwood name was mud in their social circles. Sterling's tax evasion trial was set for next year. Vivian had been quietly removed from all her charity boards. Iris's husband had filed for divorce, apparently inspired by the whole scandal to examine his own marriage. And Rowan? Last I heard, he'd taken a position with Doctors Without Borders. Running away to find himself, probably. I hoped he did. Despite everything, I'd loved him once. Maybe he'd find the person he used to be, before his family's poison seeped too deep. 6 months later. Seattle suited me. The constant rain felt cleansing, washing away the remnants of my old life. I had a cozy apartment with a view of the Sound, a job I loved, and peace. I was reviewing patient charts when my assistant knocked. Mira? There's someone here to see you. Says she's family? My blood chilled. If Vivian had tracked me down. But the woman who entered wasn't Vivian. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with familiar dark eyes and olive skin. You don't know me, she said quickly. I'm Sophia Reeves. Well, Sophia Blackwood. I'm Sterling's daughter. From his first marriage. I stared at her. Sterling was married before? She laughed bitterly. Oh yes. To my mother. A secretary at his firm. When she got pregnant, his parents paid her to disappear. I grew up knowing my father chose his reputation over me. Why are you telling me this? Because I watched the video. The whole thing. And I saw someone finally stand up to them. She pulled out an envelope. I thought you might want these. Letters my mother kept. Proof of what they did to her. In case they ever try to come after you again. I took the envelope with shaking hands. Why would you help me? Because you did what I never could. You exposed them. You showed everyone who they really are. She smiled sadly. My mother died thinking she was the only one they'd hurt. At least now I know she wasn't alone. After she left, I sat in my office, holding the letters. More evidence of the Blackwood family's cruelty, stretching back decades. How many lives had they destroyed in their pursuit of perfection? I locked the letters in my desk drawer. Insurance, in case I ever needed it. But I hoped I wouldn't. I was done with the Blackwoods. Or so I thought. 1 year later. The coffee shop was crowded, full of the morning rush. I was reviewing notes for a presentation when someone cleared their throat. Is this seat taken? I looked up into Rowan's eyes. He was thinner, his hair longer, skin tanned from whatever tropical location he'd been hiding in. Yes, I lied. He sat anyway. I won't stay long. I needed to see you. Why? To say thank you. I blinked. Thank you? You destroyed my life, Mira. Completely. Thoroughly. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. He laughed, but it wasn't bitter. I spent a year in Bangladesh, treating patients who had nothing. No money, no connections, just need. It reminded me why I became a doctor. Who I wanted to be before my family got their hooks in me. Good for you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. What I lost. What I threw away. He stood. You look happy. I'm glad. He turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, my parents are miserable. Dad's probably going to prison. Mom's been shunned by everyone she cares about. Iris is divorced and in therapy. The Blackwood dynasty is over. And you? I'm trying to be better. To be the man you thought you married. He smiled sadly. Maybe someday I'll deserve someone like you. But I know it won't be you. He left before I could respond. I sat there, coffee growing cold, processing the encounter. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated. Another part just felt sad for the life we could have had if he'd been stronger, if his family had been different, if I'd been enough. But I wasn't sad for the life I had now. I was head of nursing at a major hospital. I had friends who valued me for who I was. I was dating a kind man named James who brought me flowers just because and whose family welcomed me with open arms. I was happy. Genuinely, boringly, wonderfully happy. That night, I called Luna to tell her about seeing Rowan. How do you feel about it? She asked. Like closing a book I've already finished reading. Satisfied with the ending, but no desire to read it again. That's very poetic. I've been taking writing classes. Of course you have. Because you're thriving. I could hear her smile through the phone. You know what? I think we need to celebrate. It's been exactly 1 year since the wedding crash heard round the world. I don't know if that's something to celebrate. Are you kidding? You stood up to your abusers, exposed their lies, and rebuilt your entire life. If that's not worth champagne, I don't know what is. She was right. A year ago, I'd walked into that ballroom feeling like my world was ending. Now I knew it had been beginning. Fine. But somewhere quiet. I've had enough drama to last a lifetime. Deal. But I'm bringing Kai. He's been dying to interview you for his documentary. Documentary? The Wedding Crasher, a story of betrayal and revenge. Working title. He's got interest from Netflix. I groaned. Tell him no. I don't want to relive it. What if he donates part of the proceeds to a women's shelter? I considered this. My story had already gone viral. If it could help other women in bad situations. I'll think about it. 5 years later. The documentary won an Emmy. I didn't attend the ceremony, but I watched Luna and Kai accept the award on television. They thanked me for my courage, though I still didn't feel particularly courageous. I'd just been angry and hurt and unwilling to disappear quietly like they'd planned. The film had helped dozens of women recognize the signs of emotional abuse and family manipulation. I received letters from strangers thanking me for showing them they weren't crazy, that their feelings were valid, that they deserved better. Sterling Blackwood died in prison, 2 years into his 5-year sentence for tax evasion. Vivian moved to a small apartment in Florida, living off what was left after the IRS took their assets. She sent me a letter once, pages of vitriol blaming me for everything. I threw it away unread after the first paragraph. Iris reached out through Facebook, apologizing for her part in everything. She was in therapy, working through her own issues with the family. I wished her well but didn't respond further. Some bridges were meant to stay burned. And Rowan? He stayed with Doctors Without Borders, last I heard. Saving lives, finding redemption. Good for him. Everyone deserved a second chance, even if it couldn't be with the people they'd hurt. I married James on a beach in Hawaii, just us and our immediate families. No drama, no schemes, no one telling me I wasn't good enough. His mother taught me her secret adobo recipe. His father called me daughter. His siblings became mine. This was what family was supposed to feel like. We had 2 children, twins, a boy and a girl. They had James's easy smile and my stubborn streak. I told them stories about their Lola, my grandmother, who could make magic with needle and thread. About how love should lift you up, not tear you down. About the importance of knowing your worth. Sometimes, when I tucked them in at night, I thought about the children I'd lost during my first marriage. The babies who might have tied me forever to that toxic family. Maybe everything happened the way it was supposed to. Maybe those souls knew to wait for a better time, a better father, a better life. The last time I thought about the Blackwoods was at my son's kindergarten graduation. He stood on stage, singing off-key with his classmates, and I felt my heart might burst with pride. James squeezed my hand, our daughter asleep in his arms. This was wealth. This was status. This was everything Vivian Blackwood had thought I could never achieve. A woman sat down next to me, designer bag, perfect makeup, the kind of person who would have intimidated me once. "Which one is yours?" she asked. "The one in the dinosaur tie." I pointed to my son, who was now waving enthusiastically at us. "Adorable. I'm Melissa. We just moved here from the East Coast. My husband's in tech." "Mira. I run the nursing department at St. Mary's." Her eyes widened. "Wait, Mira Santos? You're the woman from that documentary. The Wedding Crasher." I tensed, waiting for judgment. Instead, she leaned closer. "You saved my life." "Not literally, but..." I was in a similar situation. Controlling in-laws, a husband who wouldn't stand up for me. Watching your story gave me the courage to leave. To demand better. "I'm glad you found your strength." "I found it because you showed yours." She smiled. "Would you maybe want to get coffee sometime? I don't know many people here yet, and I'd love to hear more about your work at the hospital." "I'd like that." We exchanged numbers, and I realized this kept happening. Women finding me, sharing their stories, building connections. My worst moment had become a beacon for others navigating their own darkness. The ceremony ended, and my son ran to us, diploma clutched in his tiny hands. "Mama, did you see? I graduated." "I saw everything, baby. I'm so proud of you." He beamed, then noticed the woman next to me. "Hi. I'm Marcus. I like dinosaurs." "Hi Marcus. I'm Melissa. I like dinosaurs too." As they chatted about T-Rexes, James caught my eye. "New friend?" "Maybe. She saw the documentary." He nodded. He'd learned to recognize these encounters, these women who sought me out. He called me his reluctant inspiration. "Ice cream to celebrate," he suggested. "Ice cream," both kids shouted. As we walked to the car, my family chattering around me, I felt the last ghost of my old life fade away. Somewhere out there, the Blackwoods were living with the consequences of their choices. But here, in this moment, I had everything they'd tried to deny me. Love. Family. Respect. Peace. And the knowledge that when they'd tried to erase me, I'd written myself in permanent ink across their lives instead. My phone buzzed. Luna, sending pictures from her own daughter's dance recital. Life had moved on for all of us, flowing forward like water finding its way around obstacles. "Mama, can we get chocolate ice cream?" my daughter asked. "We can get whatever flavor you want, sweetheart." "Even rainbow?" "Especially rainbow." As we drove away, I didn't look back. I'd learned that the best revenge wasn't just living well, it was living free. Free from their expectations, their judgments, their poisonous need for control. Free to be exactly who I was meant to be. And that woman? She was worth more than all the Blackwood money and status in the world. She was worth everything.